Hi, my name is Bhupinder Anand. I'm a financial advisor based in London, England, and I'm going to be spending some time with you very soon to give you some ideas and thoughts from somebody that is not only practicing in the sense of talking to clients every day, but also I am a speaker and coach and train both agents and managers to be more successful at what they do. Now, I know you're already very successful, but I just want to share some ideas that I'm using in my business, in my career, that you could use for yourself. In that session, the purpose for me is to help you have some tools that you can use for your own personal development, but also some tools that you could then use to pass down to the people that you lead, for them to pass to the agents themselves, and ultimately perhaps even some of the tools for the agents to use with their clients. So I'd like you to do some preparation for the session. I'd like you to do a bit of homework. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to take you hours of time, but I will say that the more effort you put in, the deeper and the better the results will be for you. So I want you to get the maximum enjoyment and maximum benefit from the session we're about to have. So I'm going to go through some things I want you to prepare. Some of them are actually some form filling, and others are just reading and making a few notes ready to share. So the first thing I want to do is ask you to write down for me in the chat box when we're doing this live your goals and objectives for the time that we're going to have together for you to feel it was a good use of your time. A little exercise that might help you is in the various things that I might want feedback from you, because we're not going to have much time to be live interactive. I would suggest you type out your words in a separate document so that you can simply cut and paste them into the live chat as we go, just to save yourself some time, but that's up to you. So what do you want to achieve in the session that we're going to have together that is about branding, but continuing on from your previous session of leadership? Attached to this message is a document about the art of war. It's an article. It's a summary of some key points of something called the art of war, which is an ancient Chinese strategy on military activity. But people have translated it into the business world. I want you to read that article, and then I want you to write down a few key points that resonated with you. What experiences have you got that you can bring that the art of war shows you some insight? What insight did you get from the art of war that you could use moving forward that might help you in what you're doing? So again, we're not going to have a discussion around this. It's more about you telling me in the chat at the time what you got from it, and I'm going to share with you my experiences of using the art of war in my business. Now, this piece of homework is vital. It is essential that you spend some time to do this, because it is going to be a tool that's known not only for your use, but something you can pass down through the leadership chain. I call it the decade of dreams, and it's a way of getting you to think 10 years ahead. Most people can't even think 10 days ahead, 10 weeks, 10 months. I want you to start thinking 10 years. So print this document off, ideally on an A3 sheet of paper, because you're going to need some room. And you follow the steps. Don't go by what you think is normal here. The steps are not necessarily in the order you would expect. So the first step you're going to do is really simple, probably the simplest, easiest question. What year are we in? And for those that you don't know, it's 2020. And how old are you? Dead easy. Put that in. Step 2, you go to the top right-hand side of the page and you say, what year will it be in 10 years' time? More importantly, how old will you be? And that's pretty profound for a lot of people when they write that down already. Then I want you to fill in the columns. And the columns simply say if there were no barriers to your dreams, if you could do anything you could want to do, but knowing what you know now. So let's be realistic in those dreams too. So, if you want to be an astronaut, the chances are it's too late to start. So have some wild and crazy dreams, but knowing what you know now, describe both your personal and your professional life in 10 years' time. So I'm looking for 5 bullet points, if you like, or things that you want to achieve in both your personal and your professional life. Because for me, this business is not just about the insurance side of things that we do, but also what we get out of it as personal, in terms of our career, personal development. So both things are important. Your family is important, and what's going on in your personal life is just as important as your business career. From there, you move down to the left-hand side, and again, you use step 3 to write down your what year will we be in 5 years' time, and how old will you be? Now, in this section, you're going to write down and take from the 10-year program what needs to happen by 5 years in order for you to have a platform to launch to your 10 years. Okay, so you've got your 10 years. Where do you need to be in 5 years? Because there's got to be some progress to that 10 years. So write down, taking the same 10 things you wrote there in the same order, write them down here as your platform for 5. And once you have your platform for 5 years, move to step 4. And step 4 is really simple. What have you got to do now to get to those things, to achieve what you want to do in 10 years' time? Starts with the first step today. What do you need to do? What changes do you need to make? Write those things down. Now, I want you to come to my session with this form completed. And what we will do interactive is go through some of the things that you've written, and I'm going to add something to it that really will make it powerful for you and for the people you share it with. So a very important piece of your preparation homework. You don't need to work on this one. It's called the Mission Statement Strategizer because it's a tool I want you to use with others. But if you want to print it off, it will be helpful for you as we go through it and I show you how to implement the tool itself. Another one that I would like you to fill in, because if you have the practice of filling this one in, it's going to help you in terms of sharing it with others. And I'll explain the context of it when we meet. But for now, what I want you to do is consider, I know this talks in this document about the last 3 months, but it's the first time we're doing it. So I'm allowing you to look back 12 months. Once you start doing this, we'll be doing it every quarter. So for the first time you're doing this, looking back over the past 12 months, what are the 5 most memorable, positive things that happened to you, both in your personal life and your professional life? So you take your first column, write down what those things were that you did. Something you did with your family, something you did in terms of your career development or helping a particular agent. What was it that was so memorable in the last 12 months? Next to that, I want you to write why it was important to you. Clearly, you wrote it, therefore it's important. But why is it important? What did you feel when you did that? Because there must be some feelings around it in order for you to feel important enough to write it down. Okay, if it was so good, let's do some more. So what's the further progress to either repeat or develop that particular point that you wrote down? And in order to get there, it's useful to have some other people involved. So who's involved? Is it a manager of yours? Is it someone you manage or lead? Is it a member of your family? Who's involved? Could be more than one person, could be just yourself. And then the key thing, 2 key things. What's the first step? Because without the first step, you won't be developing the thing that you want to develop. So what's the first thing you have to do to move this along and give yourself a deadline by when? What you do by creating this plan is give yourself a plan for the next quarter. You give yourself a track to run on as this becomes your action plan. And in 3 months' time, you review back and you do the same exercise again to build upon the top 5 things that happened in the coming quarter. So I've got 2 documents you need to prepare, the Decade of Dreams and this one, and the Art of War is to read, and the Mission Statement Strategy just print and have ready with you. Please do put the effort into your preparation, and we're going to have some fun when we meet, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Take care in the meantime. Stay safe.